The life force of your bond. A power like life itself. Unseen for generations. A dyad in the force.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to
Hello.
another episode of DYAD in the Force, episode 217. The one where we talk about episodes 4, 5, and 6 of ANDOR. We originally had Olivia Lupe booked for tonight, but she had a work schedule conflict. So we definitely hope to reschedule her. Always a good conversation, especially when it comes to ANDOR. So we'll try our best.
So good.
But a shout out to everybody in the chat. ND Wise Guy, greetings, gents. Hope that you're having a great Friday. We are. Well, I don't want to speak for everyone, so I am. How's your guys' Fridays?
Fair to middling. What?
I think I heard fairly middling.
Fair to middling.
Oh.
It's an old. It's an old saying. It's all
Got
good.
it, got it.
Don't worry about it.
What about you, Cal?
Mine's good. Just good thumbs ups.
Shout out to Cal 4 in the chat. Early crew. Spooky Kitty, sup, bros? Gene Otaku 91, welcome to Diet in the Forest. I don't think we've seen your name in the chat before, so welcome. Hope you enjoy
Otakus of
yourself.
any kind are very welcome.
Kenny
Very much
Carey,
so.
let's go, early crew. Andor is on fire right now. Love everything in this show. Yes. Cozy Guardians says, I have a hypothetical question. We'll go ahead and answer it. We'll address it when we get to it. Let's see, 2 more until I get to see Mommy Dami. Let's go, Underworld. Oh, that's true. I mean, we got to see Mommy Dami a bit early. The past 3 episodes. You just gotta turn out the lights. I want to post that clip because I am proud that we have Choco on the Hear Me Out train on Dedra.
I was the last holdout.
How you doing, Choco?
Yeah, just hanging in there. You know, I am. You know, I made a video earlier, and I know I'm curious how anyone else feels. Maybe people in the chat. Yeah, you and I saw Revenge of the Sith together. And what I told you afterwards was it was worse than I remembered. And but not that I didn't enjoy it, not that I love Star Wars, don't love the prequels, but I was thinking about it. And, you know, I was carrying my first memories from seeing it in the theater for all these years. It was amazing and wonderful. And I feel like the Toxic Dude Bros have started to ruin it for me. And what I mean by that is they do so much digging and put so much emphasis on anything that is wrong in current Star Wars and modern Star Wars that stuff that it was always there, right? We grew up, we just didn't care, you know? But now I can't help but see it when it happens. You know what I mean? Like I can't unsee it, you know, like I've always known it was there, but I see it. And then I just remember all these Toxic Bros being like, no, like this whole fight scene sucks because the knife disappeared. And then you're like, Palpatine's fighting with Anakin's lightsaber. Does that mean this is a bad fight? Like I just enjoyed it for what it was, you know? I don't know.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I want to get Cal's perspective on this, but really quickly, I just want to say, like, it is a larger problem with just overall movie consumption and media literacy, right? It's always extremes now. And we hold old movies in such high regard with nostalgia glasses. And we don't remember how we used to just accept the camp and love them for how they made us feel. You know, I love the prequels growing up too, but I always had issues with its dialogue, and seeing it again, like not as like something you have in the background, but like seeing it again in earnest in the theater, it's you know, it's plain as day the problems with the prequels and especially with Revenge of the Sith. Like the dialogue, I couldn't get past the same way I always get past it, which was basically have a game open to play while watching. But in the theater, you're like, oh, that didn't age well. But Cal, what did you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it's just the negative connotation with things, right? Like, it's hard to separate something that you do pick up on or that you do notice that could be an error or whatever the case might be. And there is just so much like regurgitated hate when it comes to especially Star Wars, but just kind of in general, that it's really easy to see those things and just have that initial snap in your brain, just tie it to those kinds of people and that kind of attitude, and just put you in a down space.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, too, for me, like, I watch movies for me, and I don't have a problem turning my creative brain on or turning my imagination on and just kind of like letting the story of it all happen and stuff like that. To where I feel like for me, I kind of get easily immersed in stuff. So I understand where you're coming from, but I don't run into it myself.
Yep. Pod1's in the chat. Shout out to Pod1's on TikTok saying, we jumping on Fortnite to watch the first 2 episodes? No. Enjoy yourselves.
I'd do it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, more power to people who are going to play Fortnite and watch that stuff. It's kind of like going on Fortnite to watch Palpatine announce his return. Okay, so Cozy Guardian says, do you think it would be cool to get a Star Wars Visions about Jedi Ben Solo? It's like a race between him and Palp to find Rey to pull her to light or dark. I mean, yeah, I think...
that'd be interesting.
I think a Visions for any story has a lot of potential, but specifically with Jedi Ben Solo, I think we deserve a lot more with Ben as a Jedi. I think for me, aside from all of my varying and myriad issues critically with The Rise of Skywalker, is the fact that Ben turned and his only sentence was ow. I think he deserved at least 2 sentences to kind of be lighthearted about it. So yeah, I would appreciate a Visions episode or 2 with Jedi Ben Solo, or even just like, listen, the thing that they're doing with Tales of the Underworld, Tales of, I feel like they should just do Tales of Star Wars and just do a serialized release of different stories across the timeline and just make that multiple seasons. You don't have to have it full arcs. It's just like these 2 episodes that are dropping in these 2 weeks is going to be about Ben Solo. The next one is going to be about Ventress. The next one is going to be about Quinlan Vos. The point is, like, you have a series that's animated that you can use as a vessel to tell stories all across Star Wars, and it's just Tales of Star Wars, right? And it's
from
not
a certain
really,
point of view.
Yeah, it's not. It's
just
not
that,
really
but animated, right?
It's not really relegated to any certain theme. So I think just an animated show where you can just touch on any subject matter within Star Wars is a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, I would like that. I want, and the Tales of series hasn't done this as well as I would have liked, but I do love the concept of focusing on 2 particular characters, because you get to tell each of their story, but you also get to tell a bigger story by comparing and contrasting the 2. That the parallels are really interesting. Also, I want to shout out to Jared Judnich here. He says, so much of the actual non-grift negativity comes from people who are not emotionally mature or intelligent enough to realize that how you feel about something is not how you felt as a child. There's a really big thing of, especially people our age, millennials, where this thing that we loved that got us through hard times, it just ain't hitting like it did before. I honestly feel like 2 2008 happened, right? And there was a lot of insecurity in the job market and stuff in the country. And we all coped. We all found our coping mechanisms, and then we played games, and we did all this stuff. And then now, when there's uncertainty, we go back to those things, and it's not. We're the parents now, you know what I mean? And it's not hitting like it used to.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially what George means when he says Star Wars is generational. I keep on saying this, but like, Star Wars is alive today not because of what Disney has done. They're a large part of why Star Wars is alive, by giving us new things. But the reason Star Wars is still alive is because the kids that grew up are now enjoying it, and they have kids of their own that are now enjoying it. And so it's a generational thing where each new era of Star Wars is welcomed into the zeitgeist by a new generation of Star Wars fans. So we have people who saw Star Wars for the first time through Mandalorian, through Andor, through Resistance, through Rebels. Some of them through the Lego game, as Choco likes to talk about, and like, that's how Star Wars stays alive.
Not to mention a lot of those kids that watched, episode 4 in theaters and stuff like that grew up and are making Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right. So like, yeah, it's more encompassing than just you were a fan and that was it.
Yeah. And this is like why the sentiment Star Wars saved, or Disney saved Star Wars, is not because Disney has done such an impeccable job, whereas Star Wars is perfect or is like all around like peak all the time. We always have our criticisms of the projects that come out, but like, Disney has saved Star Wars because it has given new fans a chance to come into the fandom. And if we think about Star Wars as an IP today, if it didn't have Disney and George was doing his R.R. Martin of taking 20 years to write the next one, to everybody that's waiting for Winds of Winter knows what I'm talking about, then it would just be a bunch of old people waiting. A bunch of old people that saw the original, saw the prequel. We'd be waiting. We'd be in our 50s and our 40s. Be like, okay, we're waiting for this new Star Wars. But what Disney did is they bought it at a time when it was dwindling in terms of content. The last season of Clone Wars just aired, and we had nothing but the books to kind of hold us over on. And so with the new content that came out, with the new movies, it gave new fans a chance to come in and appreciate Star Wars. We have so many friends in this community we've met that their first Star Wars was The Force Awakens. Their first Star Wars was Mandalorian. Their first Star Wars was Book of Boba Fett. And so this generational thing where the franchise itself is kept alive and kept fresh by new fans is why we say that Disney saved Star Wars, right?
Yeah, I have a couple points to that too. I mean, that's one why I always say more Star Wars is good Star Wars, because even if it's not a show or a book or a movie that's made for you or targeted at you, it's going to create more fans of Star Wars. Because let's be completely realistic, if we want to break it down to just pure statistics, some people on this planet are going to like it.
Yeah.
And get them into Star Wars, and now we have more Star Wars friends and stuff like that. Because I remember a time when it was like Revenge of the Sith was out, all we had to look forward to is like 2010. All we had to look forward to was the Old Republic MMO coming out, and like that was the end of Star Wars. Like that's all there was. And so like now we have a theme park.
Yeah,
you get to go live in Star Wars if you want. That wasn't a thing.
We were just talking about that, Choco. Talk about like what you were talking about how people.
Yeah, I was just like thinking about how how jealous I am, because there are gonna be like children whose first experience with Star Wars is being inside of Star Wars, is walking inside. Like, that's super cool. Can you
That's so
imagine,
cool, yeah.
like, seeing Rey and Chewbacca, and you don't know who they are. You're just this little kid, but you're like, this is amazing. And then you go and you ride spaceships with them and all this stuff. And then you get home, you're like, and then you watch Star Wars. It's I don't know, that's really, really cool. I'm also intensely jealous that kids these days get Lego Star Wars. Like, we had to use our imaginations like a bunch of idiots.
Where it's just the same like default spaceman that you're like, yeah, but that's Beskar, so.
I mean, I had to. I was pretty good at it though. So like I would get like a speedboat set and like a plane set, and I could put those together to make like an X-wing. It was janky as hell. It was multicolored, but it was close. You know, it was X-wing-ish.
I remember when I was a kid, I took these clear rods and actually like cut them and filed them down to look like the lightsaber blades, so I could make like a white lightsaber and stuff like that, to be like, yeah. And then like it became a thing, and I'm like, yeah, like this is really cool.
I mean, back then we didn't have airsoft or all of these like really cool replicas, and we would just have to like chisel down wooden planks to resemble toy guns that we would run
You find an oddly rifle-shaped stick out in the woods, and it's now your new favorite stick.
Yeah.
I think that's why there's like the like millennial thing of like stick talk or whatever, where it's just, look at this cool stick I found. And it's like, oh, that's a cool stick. And everybody in the comments is like, oh, that's a sweet stick.
Tales of the Smuggler featuring Han and Poe. I mean, yeah, just
Ooh,
Tales of
see, that would be
anything.
interesting. Yeah, everyone in the chat, throw in what you want to see for like a Tales of two people.
Shout out to Chase saying hello, fellow Rhydo huffers.
I see
Hello,
they're also on
Mr.
stick
Rhydo.
talk.
Feel the burn.
We're the fuel.
Actually, I'm working on a SAW GERRERA. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh
yeah.
man, can you imagine like the next con that we're at, and you have a Saw and I have a Stranger, and they like, just imagine that meeting in universe.
Ooh.
Both disillusioned and just crazy.
Crazy.
They'd hate
and
each other,
very
but
dangerous.
but not in a bad way.
Their methods align, but their goals are opposite. But what was I gonna say? I totally lost my train of thought. I released my 4, 5, and 6 kind of breakdown on TikTok, and I was surprised to see a lot of people had replayed Saw's speech multiple times, and I'm glad that it has stuck, because it's not the most elegant of speeches, but it's very raw. It's very powerful. And Joe Tremarco says that's the smell of freedom. Breathe it in. Let it in.
Yeah.
As our
Breathe deep.
As our thumbnail suggests, let it run wild. Goob says, good news if you want more Poe, because we getting more later this year. I can't wait.
We get more Poe Dameron?
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, there were some book announcements. One of which I'm very, very excited for. By the way, people keep putting in what you want for Tales, and then so we can go through them all together. I see yours, Jared. But one of the books I'm super excited about is I mean, we're just getting post Rise of Skywalker content. So there's going to be a Finn book that's going to be about Finn and Janna, and they're trying to save children that were being taken by the First Order, and it'll go back into their backstories, and we'll learn more about them, and just more stuff with people we love. I think it's awesome.
Cozy says, aren't him and Finn getting a shoe? Hey, thanks for the subscribe, Dirty Hawks TV. Welcome to Dying in Force.
I find it funny. I just realized it's my face.
Yes,
That hilarious.
yes, it is. Yeah, it's the only emoji I could find that was apt. You know, it's an old time face too. The way Saw speech is the perfect mirror to Luthen's speech in season 1. Exactly. It's so like Luthen has like the Shakespearean kind of Orwellian version of the speech, and Saw is just a Saw. Saw's version, you know. And it'll be an interesting topic to talk about because we're gonna get Cal's take on and you know his take on 1, 2, 3 as well. He's been catching up on Andor and has seen the last 3. But yeah, definitely one of the highlights. Another highlight is Cyril and Dedra.
Yeah.
Turn out the lights. Turn out the lights.
And then real quick, so Jared Judge said smugglers could have Hondo or K Vest too. Like I think that might be a nice pairing for like a Tales of. Spooky Kitty says Maul, give me Maul stories. Chase says Tales of the Mining Guild, which could have some really, really interesting stories. That would be interesting. Then we have Tales of Mandalore.
Tales of the Fallen. I like that too.
I really feel like we need to start having Cal Kestis, K-Vest in stuff. Please.
Tales of the
Like-
video game characters.
Not just that, but like
I'd be into it.
when we have characters that are like modeled after a person, have them play that character, like connect these worlds, please.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing that just still has yet to ever really happen. The closest that I feel like I've gotten has been Selkath in The Acolyte. And so it's like, please, like, that's why every time Nar Shaddah's ever mentioned, I flip a table out of like excitement, because I want the video game verse of Star Wars to connect with the cinematic side.
And it was cool when we got to Braca on
Bad Batch, right?
on Bad Batch. That was cool. And then if you read Resistance Reborn, then they also go to Braca, and you find out that a bunch of the Resistance ships came from pieces that they recovered from Braca later in the future. So I think that's really cool as well.
That's why it was cool to hear about like Black Spire Outpost in like the second Thrawn book and stuff like that too, where it's just like, oh yeah, we get connections here. This is great. Like, I don't know, it's nice.
Tales of a certain point of view. I mean, I feel like you can have a full-on show, like I said, with Tales of Star Wars, with just from a certain point of view, and just have stories from multiple seasons of every single different character that has stories, because we know every character has stories. You know, a lot of people are surprised when I tell them, like when they see me wearing like a Star Wars shirt, and like, oh, you're a Star Wars fan, and I tell them, you'll be interested to know that the person that walks between Han and Leia when they're arguing on Hoth has a story. And so yeah, it's just a treasure trove.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's an entirely a pitch for an entirely different show that I want, is just from a certain point of view. Just take the book concept and throw it up there. But give me Tales of the Fets. Right? we do both Boba and Jango, and I think there's some really cool like meat we can get there. You know?
Yeah, I mean, episode 1.
I've got one.
Episode 1 is like, will you take the creed? And Jango's like, no, and then walks away. That's an episode I want for sure.
Well, it would explain why he's not a Mandalorian. Sorry, y'all.
I think Shadow Lord will cover the Maul Crimson Dawn stuff. Oh, for sure. Shadow Lord is a reference to the Shadow Collective that Maul runs during season 7 of the Clone Wars. So there's a lot there.
I'm hoping TV wise we can have this kind of splinter out, just like when you're playing Assassin's Creed Shadows and you're like, I have to get that guy, and then they're like, oh, okay, but you have to take down this organization, and it splinters off, and then there's like, so like from Clone Wars we get the Maul show. Then from the Maul show, we could get more stuff for the Mandalorians, right? Because there's a whole lot of them that are still loyal to Maul. We can get more Underworld stuff. We can get more, Pike Syndicate stuff. He's running all the syndicates. We can get more Kira, because she's going to join the organization and rise up to the top. And he's going to train her in Terras Kasi, and then she's going to whoop his ass and steal his organization and kick him out. Can't wait.
I do have a comment on my latest video. I want to get your take on.
Real quick, I'm gonna steal Brandon's thing and do Tales of the Diner. And each episode is just a different story that Dexter's actually like heard from patrons and stuff like that.
I don't even think we should call it Tales of the Diner. We should just do like something like Cheers, right? It would just be called Dexter's Diner.
Because then you could
but that kind of
an Obi-Wan cameo too.
Well, because that kind of is like a throwback to my past and also George Lucas, because we would always go to Mel's Diner, and like we'd go see a band play, and then we'd go to Mel's Diner, and it'd be like 3:30 in the morning, and the diner's packed with all these random people. These aren't just people from the show we just came, and we're like, where are these people coming from?
They're just
it'd be nice if we got if everyone kind of shared those. I also like I like Chase's right there, Tales of Bofa.
Bofadies. Honestly, the first thought I had was because of the way because of the way I labeled my wallet. It just makes me think of Bank of America.
Damn it! Now that's forever ruined, and that's all I'm ever gonna see.
So I need to switch banks.
Yeah. Okay, so I got a comment on my latest video. I don't find you comparing Luke's impulsive nature with Vader. I suppose they're missing a word here. Because Luke at that time was still learning. Luke in the sequels is a grandmaster at that point. He should know that your thoughts can mislead you, I suppose.
I watched the video. I saw the comment. I wanted to comment on it, but my thoughts are too expansive for text.
All right, well, expansive on video then.
I find that really silly, because a lot of people looked at Luke in that movie as a Jedi Master. We see him at the very beginning of the movie being super calm, collected, everything like that. It's to show that he, in spite of everything, still has those flaws. And for me, seeing Luke as, this wiser, older person still have those feelings, like trauma doesn't go away. It fades a bit and gets easier to deal with, but it's still there. And so to see the character still have that knee-jerk reaction, and he even says it was a fleeting shadow of a thought, like for a split second it hit him and he was able to stop it, rather than a 30-second berserker rage moment where he just goes ham, right? So like, yeah, no, he's clearly mastered it and he understands it and knows that that's not right. But the damage was done. He's still fallible. He can still make mistakes, and in the eyes of a teenager, he saw it differently, and we see his perspective. And like that for me is so much more compelling of a story, and ties back to the movies that I love, that it's like it makes Luke more of a character to me, to the point where whenever anybody brings it up, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I went from thinking Luke was like a B tier hero in my mind to like now he's like an S tier character. Like, I don't know. That moment, that whole sequence with everything, seeing it the 3 different ways, is really what made him one of my favorite characters now.
Yeah, I mean, where I come down on it is that comment is just a bad reading of character and people, you know? There is, yes, people change over time. That's absolutely true, but not everything changes, right? There's nature and there's nurture. We all have things, that is how we interact with the world. It's literally how our brains are wired. And for some of us, you know, it can be like, I'm a very, very introverted person. Very introverted person. I have learned how to talk to other people, right? I did sales job. I did all of these things so that people will look at me and be like, oh, he's not an introvert. He's so lively and talkative and all this stuff. No, I'm not shy, but I'm super introverted. Like y'all don't even know. And so that's who I am. That's a part of me, right? That's my nature. But my nurture is, you know, I learned how to do things and how to cope with it and all this stuff. Luke, him being that, you know, impulsive kid, you know, like just like Yoda characterized him, Luke always looking ahead, not paying attention to where he was going and what he was doing. Like that's a part of who people are, you know, and you can. And that's actually what makes that moment powerful, because it's the briefest moment of pure instinct. What is instinct? Instinct isn't nurture. Instinct is nature, right? So like, of course. And then once nurture kicks in, he stops himself. But like that's the whole goddamn point.
and he stops himself both times, except one of the times he doesn't go and attack the person, right? Like it was an even faster reaction, and he didn't get violent at all. So it's like, okay. Not to mention, calling him like, Goku, he's supposed to be a Grandmaster now. He's only a Grandmaster because there's no other Jedi. Like, he's de facto Grandmaster. It's self-appointed at that point. So to say, I don't know, that's silly to me.
I do want to comment on that because Harris said, can we stop applying ranks to character arcs? And this is partially my response to that comment, is that you don't just you don't level up and you no longer have to deal with any hardship. You don't have to deal with any difficulty or challenges. Just because he saw the light in Vader doesn't mean he has to see the light in everyone else. Just because he has grown and learned things over the years doesn't mean he has learned everything. And just because he's a Grandmaster, as you say, doesn't mean he's done with the dark side. As we learn in lore all the time, the temptation of the dark side, it is ever present. It is always there. They deal with it on a daily basis, and it doesn't matter what rank you are, how much you've mastered of the Force. Yoda still deals with temptation, although he's very good at just standing there in front of the dark side and being like, I refer to the dark side cave and him just standing outside it. That's Legends, but
no, that's canon. It was in from a certain point of view.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, the point being, you don't just become a master and a Grandmaster and that's it. You're done with growth. You're done with dealing with challenges in your life. You know, and I feel like a lot of people who glazed over that scene in The Last Jedi miss completely that it wasn't Luke's fault. It's the fact that Ben saw what he saw and interpreted it as a threat, and he made his decision then. So when Luke fleetingly, instinctually ignites and stops himself, he said, "I was left with shame and consequence," because that's what happens in a story. And the fact that Ben saw him is what led the narrative to go in a direction it went to. He didn't actually try to murder him. He didn't actually go there to slaughter Ben. The real catalyst for that narrative was Ben saw it. We would be talking about a completely different movie if Luke ignited, went, "Oh crap, no," and then stopped, and then Ben was still asleep. It's like, whew, that was close.
Or if he had seen me, he would have thought something crazy.
Right? Yeah. Well, not to mention, it's like, if they wanted to sell it the way that a lot of these people perceive what happened, he would have walked in with lightsaber ignited and blown the like ceiling off of it and been like, "All right, time to die." Like,
I mean, he would have buried him without entering.
that, right? Like, if he went there with the intent to kill him, he would have killed him. Like, that's the point, is he didn't have that intent in him. It was only after seeing the corruption of Snoke, seeing literally the galaxy suffering, planets dying because of his future actions, that he had a split second of like, "I have to stop this. I have to be the hero."
What? No, Luke would never react to the death and destruction of everything and everyone he loved. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dex and Download says Aslan Vrel for Chancellor. You're a monster.
Batosai says, "Remember Yoda submitting himself as an apprentice to the Stone Shaper clan. That comic was awesome, and it's just another example of like, you never stop learning. I don't care if you're a Grandmaster or the Master of the Order or like the most supreme being in all of the Force. There's gonna come a point where there's something for you to learn, and Luke wasn't done learning. Even in that moment, he learned something about himself, you know?
And it's interesting because we can acknowledge that Yoda learned, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, Yoda failed, he went into isolation, and he learned stuff. You know, Obi-Wan continued to learn stuff. The Ryan Rants here in my chat said, you know, Obi-Wan continuing his teaching with Ghost Qui-Gon Jinn. There's more stuff to learn and be, and you know, you're not perfect. It's just weird. It's just a weird thing. There actually is something I'm curious about, but you sounds like you had a final thought, Cal.
I don't know what it is, but like, I feel like there's this weird thing that a lot of people will do when watching movies where if something they don't have an immediate answer for, it's bad. It's bad writing, whatever the case might be. And it's like, I don't know, man. Part of watching a movie to me is making it make sense to myself.
Yeah.
If a character does something that doesn't seem like it's a part of their character, my first initial thing isn't to go, "Oh, this is bad writing." It's to go, "Why would they do this?
Why did they do that?" Also acknowledging that people make suboptimal decisions all of the time.
I've made too many.
I saw another comment on the video that said, "So what you're trying to say is he had, basically like Anakin, he had a bad dream about Padme and destroyed the Republic." I'm like, that's how the Force works, man. When you got people as strong as they are, temptation is real. Chase says it's crazy that they have Luke literally narrating what is going on in voiceover and people are still, that's not what happened.
it's not only an open book test, but the teacher's reading the answers and you still failed it. That's crazy. One thing I am curious about is I was talking to someone and they're really talking about Yoda's conversation with Anakin and how they failed Anakin and all this stuff. And the thought I had is, why is no one willing to think about like what is Yoda's perspective in all this?
It's interesting because Yoda is a very his brain is Nebula incarnate. It's like don't really know what he's thinking at any given moment and at any given like second, right? Because he is the living embodiment. His thinking is the living embodiment of the future is always in motion. Because like you imagine like the biggest thing that I like to bring up with Yoda specifically is the way he turned to Palpatine during his 2 minutes of the Force lightning. He's like, "Oh, I got you now," but the blowback sent him further because he was diminutive in stature. But then he was like, "Ah, crap, I failed." So it's just like he's like, I can't really linger too much on one thing over the next 10 seconds. I gotta keep moving.
Yeah,
gotta be locked in.
Well, so I kind of meant more on the let me tell you the actual discussions is they were like, how come Yoda didn't give him Anakin better advice? And it's like, it's obviously Anakin didn't tell him what was happening, right? And if you can't get help if you don't want help. You can't go to a therapist and lie to them. You won't get they won't be able to help you. And they were like, what? Yoda saw them kiss in Attack of the Clones, which, by the way, when you watch that scene back, they don't actually kiss. She runs up and hugs them, but whatever. My thing is like... That's
also like omniscience versus,
Well, exactly. So I'm like, okay, think about this. The Jedi are not celibate, so like a Jedi hugging or kissing someone is not going to be a deal breaker or anything. By the way, like I said, they didn't kiss, and of course, yeah, you have 2 people that were on an adventure and had a near-death experience. That's totally fine. But like, why the hell would 3.5 years later of straight war, where he's taking care of the Jedi Order, there's 10,000 Jedi spread out all over the galaxy, dying on a daily basis. How many of them died right there on Geonosis? Like, why would you think in that moment he'd be like, oh, he's talking about that one girl that he hugged 3.5 years ago. That's who he's talking about, and she might even be pregnant, or like, why can't we be like, man, that must be crazy to, like, instead of thinking about like, oh, the sadness of Anakin, what about the sadness of Yoda? He's personally trained so many generations of younglings, and he's sending these people out because he thinks it's gonna be the best. They're like, they are constantly being put into a situation by Palpatine where your choices is cat poop and dog poop, and you have to choose. You know what I mean? Like, he's putting choices, and they're making these bad choices that are the only options. And he's sending out these people who he loves and trusts. And, the Dooku, he trained personally. He chose him. And that's who was on the other side. And this whole Jedi Order that he's been a part of for 800 years is crashing down around him. That is devastating. You know what I mean? But we only think about, but Anakin's feelings, though. That's
because he's pretty.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Will Carpenter says, "Hear me out, Abeloth. Listen, you take that back."
Well, you put a bag over their head. What else do you have, though?
A bunch of tentacles. Listen, I like anime, but damn.
Hey, yo.
The fisherman's wife, right?
What I can say about Yoda's perspective is that he's just working with the information he's got.
Yeah,
I had a
and
vision.
like you said,
Something
given
terrible's
2
gonna
bad
happen
decisions
to somebody that I know. He's like, close to you? Close. He's like, well, I mean, they're gonna join the Force. Like, there's no information about how what's gonna happen. You know? So
Well, not
the
to
only
mention
information
most
he has-
visions you see, like Anakin's vision with Padme, he made it the reality by doing what he thought was best. Right? Like Yoda's doing the same thing. If he has any visions of what's to come, he can still only do his best, right?
Yeah.
But if like you're working off of the information that someone close to him is gonna die, then
What's up, Bernardo?
Then you have no context as to whether or not it's like if it's like a violent death or if it's like
Obi-Wan. Like
it's someone close, they're gonna die.
That's my
so
assumption.
Yoda's like,
Is who are Jedi close to?
So-
Other Jedi? Their masters? Their Padawans?
Yeah.
The
so
clone
like
troopers?
he listens to
Me?
this and is like he's like, well, miss them, do not, rejoice for they transform into the Force. Like, he has nothing else to go off of. Like, if someone close to you is dying, I'm not gonna be like, well, here's what you need to do. I'm gonna be like, my condolences. Like, I don't know what I should do with this information.
Yeah, that's the other thing people gloss over is Anakin was looking for a specific answer that he was never going to get.
Yeah. He was like, what should I do?
Because the answer he previously got was a lie.
He was expecting Yoda to be like, there's a power.
but only on the dark side. We'll teach you to, though.
The Ryan Rand says, I think Yoda thought he was talking about Obi-Wan or Ahsoka.
Yeah.
He wanted to know who would win, one gorilla or 100 men.
Well, especially, I think Ahsoka's a really good one, too, especially with not only the scenes that we've seen in Ahsoka, but, like, as fans even looking at it, it's like, well, yeah, Ahsoka's not in the original trilogy or sequels. Why? Right? And so it also sets the viewers up for a different perspective on how that could be taken as well. But
Well, Ahsoka's a good juxtaposition because she too goes to Yoda over a vision. But she has more information. She says, I had a vision that Padme was going to get assassinated. And Yoda's like, well, go protect her, but remember, the future is always like, he has a more solid answer for her. It's like, do what you got to do, but remember, be careful of how you interpret your vision, right? But still, he's not being like, don't do anything. She's going to transform into the Force. Like, he's encouraging of her, but telling her to be cautious about interpreting your vision. And then, Anakin goes to him with a vision with nothing, no information. He's like, well, my condolences. They're going to turn into the Force. Learn to let go of everything you fear to lose.
it's the person who goes to therapy and talks about the weather.
Yeah. I mean, it's Joel in Last of Us. That's what he did. It was literally the scene. That's what I was thinking of.
Just kidding. Let's see here. I get annoyed at people complaining about Luke's arc because Obi-Wan does the same exact thing. When you're directly involved with a student who goes down a path, you're going to take on that guilt. This is why I hate people comparing Luke with Vader. Again, you see the light in somebody. It's if you see the light in the long lost father you never knew, that doesn't mean you're gonna see the light in everyone. It's not like a perk that you unlock that's a passive. Like, constant.
I have the spell detect good and evil.
Constant nat 20 on perception on everybody's alignment.
Well, not to mention, I think what people also do when they do that is I think it's because everybody just has this weird pinnacleized perspective of Anakin as a character, and I honestly attribute it to people's like gullibility of the Chosen One prophecies in general, where it's like, oh, he's chosen, so he's God, he's Jesus, whatever. Like, tie it to religion, tie it to whatever you need to do. He's chosen, he's the best of everything, whatever. And I think that people, when they go, well, oh, and he saw the light in Anakin who did all this stuff, but he couldn't in his own nephew or whatever, who was just a boy. It's like, why doesn't that then make your next train of thought go, oh my gosh, how dark were those visions then, right? Like, they must have been so much worse if he couldn't even see any light. Like, you have to you have to keep your, like, logic trains of thought consistent. If Luke is this superhero in your mind that can see the light in the Chosen One, but in his nephew he can't see light, that means it's really, really bad. And so, like,
and with the
I don't know,
and with the context of all three films, when you get the information that they're a dyad, Ben and Rey, you learn that the light was not there. It was with Rey, and that's why Rey is there on Octo with Luke. And this is why you can never, like, truly dissect a narrative of a trilogy just on its own, because that dyad part where it explains away so much of, like, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi too. Like, why does the lightsaber go to Rey and ignore or why was Rey able to pull it from Kylo? It's like, no, the lightsaber went to Rey because Rey was Kylo's light. It was like, hey, I need you to bring this kid back to the light. I'm not going to Kylo Ren. I want you to bring back Ben. And then in The Rise of Skywalker, he goes back to Ben. It's like, it's
poetry.
Watch the movies.
It's beautiful storytelling, but people don't give it. And that's just impatience and entitlement. Yeah. I don't know. I also find it funny. Harith made a comment about people only pulling Ben's perspective of that scene from The Last Jedi, and it's like, if a show shows you a flashback scene, okay, pay attention. If it shows it to you 3 times, pay attention. Like, most shows aren't going to give you the same flashback scene more than once. And so when it does it 3 times, there's a reason.
I also did want to comment on your, like, what did he see? You know, the darkness. If your take on that scene is Luke had a nightmare and went to slaughter Ben, it's like, well, what the fuck was the nightmare? Did he just see a clown in the closet and thought, I'm gonna kill my nephew? No. If your reading of that scene is that he concluded he needed to kill Ben, then I hate you.
Is it literally the death of all life in the entire galaxy, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I could see Luke being like, oh yeah, I will put the life of all, or like all life above one life, right? If one person's going to just drain the galaxy of all life, right? Like, we don't know to the scale in which he saw in his vision, and yet he still didn't do anything. He reacted in a moment and then caught himself.
And it's, I mean, that's exactly it. And it's funny because, like, the Jedi thing to do would be to kill the kid to save the world.
He's too dangerous to be left alive.
Speaking of trilogies, we had a trilogy of episodes.
I know you want to keep on moving on.
We should.
But no, seriously, this viewing of Revenge of the Sith
segues are weird.
Brought out so many, like, things from, like, the perspective of people having issues with certain things. No one talks enough about how Anakin, with Palpatine saying he's too dangerous to be left alive with Count Dooku, so he kills Count Dooku. And then when Mace Windu says he's too dangerous to be left alive to Palpatine, he's like, no, he must live. And I'm just
That's not the Jedi way.
Also, to everybody who keeps saying that Mace Windu is alive, seeing Revenge of the Sith this time around definitively proves it. Because the first time Yoda senses death is when Mace dies. I didn't recall that 20 years ago. Like, I thought Order 66 happened and then Yoda went, oh. And I was like, oh, he's starting to sense death. No. Mace Windu's defenestrated with lightning out of the window, and the first thing they show us afterwards is Yoda going, oh. He sensed Mace's death. Then he says, execute Order 66. We get all the death, and then Yoda continues to feel death. So go back and watch Revenge of the Sith. He senses Mace dying definitively.
Which is how he knew to take the heads off of those clones who came up, and he wasn't just being a dick.
All right, go on.
Segues are weird. Let's get into it.
Yeah. Andor, episodes 4 through 6.
I'll change the
Damn,
music
it was
for
good. Woo! I mean, listen, I don't. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. Sorry, that was a. If you watch basketball in the early 2000s. Yeah, it was just an incredible group of episodes that really dealt with the humanity that we lose and what we're fighting for, and they perfectly pieced everything together. I'm so happy with how they treated Bix. I was so worried that they were just going to torture her forever in order to make Cassian angry. But no, they actually took that and turned it into her strength and gave us, what it takes for her to fight back. I mean, what did you guys think? How was your watching of it? Cal?
Just take a
Okay, I was like,
step away.
God
too.
damn it! All right, listen, I got it. If you guys need,
No,
I heard you. I was just like, I was gonna let Cal just.
No, Cal
No,
jokingly started to take out his headphones. And I was like, he was
I'm
leaving too.
gonna walk away too. No, but so, man, this is just good. Like, it's too many things for my brain to process and articulate in like a cohesive fashion. That's not just like word vomit explosion, fun, happy time.
That was word vomit explosion happy time.
And that's why I was saying like that's all I got. No, but it's stunning, truthfully. Like the visuals of it all, I could live in every episode. Like the set design for things, the CG elements that they've used to bring these scenes to life, the music, just like the ambient background noises to it all. And then you put in some of the best acting that's ever been in Star Wars with some of the best story writing that's ever been in Star Wars. It's so good. It's so good that like there isn't a definitive spot to start to be like, well, we watched 3 episodes and this was the clear standout as the best moment of all 3. I genuinely cannot pick one. All 3 and so far all 6 of Andor is just fantastic. I absolutely love it.
Well, we
and
can
the way
help.
they all build, the build up, the tension was so thick. I was like gonna lose it.
The scenes cutting between the heist happening with the second heist of the listening device happening, like, and it would just be, you would get like a tease of it, and they'd be like, it's stuck, cut away, and you're like, no, I need to know what's gonna happen.
Well, I got stuck,
Like,
and then Krennic and them started walking towards like,
it's just it's like 2 different ticking time bombs you're trying to defuse at the same time.
That was also the most powerful reaction I've gotten out of Choco in a reaction. Just like at the very end of that 3rd episode, he was just like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Dang, Choco." So to kind of like direct this, I suppose, one of the 3 highlights for me for these 3 episodes was, and you mentioned it briefly just now, was Saw's speech, Clea's bleeding, trying to remove the listening device, and the heist that went wrong, but also man, I guess 4. I'm just gonna name them all. Bix's Revenge. You know?
Oh, yeah, that was rad.
This episode of DYAD and the Force is aptly named "We're the Rhydo, kid. We're the fuel." See how she wants to
why
explode?
don't we do that? Why don't we break it down via storyline, right? Because we have a big storyline, we have a Cassian storyline, we have the Willman storyline. Why don't we kind of do it that way? Let's talk about Willman. Let's talk about Willman first.
I mean, I feel like this was the most natural progression for him. Like, going back to season 1, he's the one that threw the bomb.
Yeah.
He's the one that was the catalyst for that whole shtick that happened on Ferrix, and now he's the one. I feel like meeting Saw is like him. It's like a come to Jesus moment for him. It's like, oh crap,
he's coming home to himself.
He's coming home to himself.
Yeah.
God damn, man, this show was so good.
It's the best life for him that is questionably like a good thing. Like, ultimately, it's a lot of violence, especially with Saw and his crew, but like, it is a perfect fit, truly, and it's getting to see a character realize that in real time, not just him, but also from Saw's perspective of like, no, you are the right person I need to take on with this. And Saw's just crazy enough to where it's like, was the other guy actually a spy or not? And he just realized that this kid, I don't think he was either. And so it's like, there's so many levels to it that it's like,
when it happened, I was like, how did he know? Because there was no like tell as to whether he was a spy or not. And I came down on it like just recently. I was like, I think Saw was unraveled enough to be like, well, Wilmon knows all of these variations. Bye. Traitor!
And how, well, not just that, but like, how can I get this kid to realize that he's our only option for this?
Yeah.
Oh, let me take out this other guy. Okay, well, now how do I make that believable? Oh, he needed to get a location. Here's just a random location. The Imperials are totally going to be there waiting for us, but we're not going there. And it's like, man, it's delightful chaos.
I think he was a spy. That's where I'm coming down on it.
It certainly could have been. That's the beauty of it, is we don't know until we get an answer, and we probably won't.
Where's your head at?
With him, he was also trying to pump. Like, it makes sense for Saw to try and find out who trained him and get this information, right? But that guy was also trying to do that separately, independently of everything else, and in private. And that's kind of what tipped me off.
I read that as he was trying to, because like he works for Saw, he was just trying to play the buddy. Saw's like, find out where he learned this. And he's like, I got you. And then he just brings it up casually in conversation later because he's trying to be the good soldier for Saw, and he's just not good enough to be. And so,
well, that could be possible. I read Saw, especially from the books, as like, no, you do what you told, and that's it. Like, I'm not expecting anything extra. I don't need anything extra. I took him asking more information from Saw and more information from Willman, as he wanted that information for himself.
Harris does make a good point. He says, I don't think he was a spy because of the way Saw turned to Willman after saying his death is on your hand. That's an interesting point. I think even more so if we think that Saw says that because Willman couldn't like get him to know all of the variations with as much confidence as he needed them to know. That's why he was like, are you good to go? It's like, I just need more. I just need the location so that I can practice on one variation and be good to go on that one. And that's when he was just like, nope.
Well, the best part is, I can totally see Brandon's perspective as well. It reads both ways, and that's because it's been written so gosh dang well.
Yeah.
I love it.
SAW is definitely a Rhydo, Twitch, and he will end you. SAW is a great Imperial disguised as a rebel. I think he's a great chaos agent of chaos. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I love Saw because he's not because he's one of those people who's like crazy but also like the sanest person there. You know, like
he truly has nothing left to lose. He lost it decades ago.
well, but even more than that, you know, when you're reading like Mask of Fear, the first place that they go bomb, and you're like, why are they bombing this place? And then you get to the end of the book, and you're like, oh, that's why you bombed it. Like, that was a good idea. Never mind. Like he, I feel like Saw is too. He's crazy, but he's not stupid.
yeah, I mean,
He's crazy but wise with that craziness.
But he also explains it in his speech, right? He says we're the fuel, right? When he asks, you see how she wants to explode. Like he's almost like locked in to the nuances of revolution, and he's like, just like Luthen is an accelerationist or an accelerant, SAW is the spark. You know, he's
the fuel, like you said, and I think that brings an interesting parallel to Luthen and kind of that team being the spark.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with like the Resistance, where the Resistance is the spark that will light the fuel of a galactic-wide rebellion. Like that's the manpower, and that's SAW. SAW is the manpower that needs those sparks to get in there and be the damaging force.
That's
and
why
Saul is aware of some of these other groups out there, but he doesn't join with them, right? There was a Maya group, and he's like, no, those people are, you know, he didn't trust that gang, right? And we got to see them, and after seeing them, I see why, right? They're idiots. I honestly do trust Saw's like intelligence gathering and stuff like that. I don't think he's gonna share why he's doing things, but he usually has rhyme to his reason.
Oh, 100%.
Shout out to Bruce.
What's up, Bruce?
It has been a long time. Well, glad to see you back. We're still here. And I also found
Morgan Clare. Oh, we talking Saw? I think his heart is in it, but he's vain. That's interesting. I mean, yeah, he definitely is a.
I don't know if I would say vain.
He's definitely like a cult of personality. You know what I mean?
I mean, in that regard, yeah.
He's not a low key dude.
I think he has come to terms with his role in the resistance, in revolution. He realizes, and you know, as much as we'd like to deny it at some point, he realizes there's a lot of dirty players that are needed for a revolution. The quote, revolution is not for the sane, is very true, you know, and it's driven home so much harder when he says, we are unloved, hunted, cannon fodder. We may be dead before the Republic comes back, yet here we are. Yeah, that line.
He's somebody who's grown comfortable being on fire.
Yeah, I mean he's grown comfortable with inhaling rhydonium.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to use Wilmon as like the juxtaposition of like someone of what it actually does to someone. He's like, "What are you doing?" I understand her. You know, it's like, okay. And then like Wilmon takes off his mask. He's like, I'm like, yo, that's what you're inhaling, Saw? Jesus Christ.
It kind of reminded me of Chainsaw Man. There's the one guy whose boss smokes or whatever and tries to get him to smoke, and he's like, no, that's bad for her. But he ends up with a sword that when he uses it, it takes chunks off of his life, and then he's like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel. He has no. He knows he's not dying of old age.
I read it a similar way as Ducks in there is he does see the chaos and violence he brings to everything, this volatile state, as the essence of his dead sister as well. So like the finite chaos that is life and how quickly it can come and go or explode or whatever the case might be, that's his reality now.
She is my sister,
Yeah.
Rhydo, and she loves me.
And Christian Nail in my chat. Sorry you've been let down by the quality of some of the Star Wars things coming out. I've enjoyed a lot of them, not all of them. But yeah, hopefully you find more things you enjoy.
Yeah, it's just a very powerful scene. Forrest Whitaker kills it. Like
Every time.
just even earlier in the episode when he comes in, it's like, is that her? You know, and I'm just like,
Here's something too. Rogue One, SAW GERRERA. Do you think he's huffing Rhydo there instead of oxygen?
I think that's like a respirator because he's been inhaling it. Like it's keeping him alive.
That was my assumption, but then after
can see him.
rewatching some of the scenes, it's like he seems to be breathing fine.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it's he needs his itch to keep him like in it, right? Like it's
That
kind of
makes
like the dude from Mad Max at that point, right? Where it's like you're so fully addicted, your body just needs it now.
Yeah, if you're like if it's truly a respirator, which again is what I assumed at first,
And it's still very well could
it
be.
would be you would breathe in it more than you would outside of it, you know, and that's not what we see.
That's not necessarily true. There are people who need oxygen that aren't perpetually tied to the mask. Like when they need an extra dose, they inhale it. You know. Kind of.
Young says that Tony Gilroy confirmed it. Yeah. Also, they put out extra content on YouTube, which I have not watched yet.
You don't need to. I mean, you can send it still, but if Tony Gilroy confirmed it, then that's what it is.
If Young says it, I believe it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, if Young says it, I believe it.
I will fact check later, though. But I believe it.
Also, just the way that Forrest plays Saw in this episode as well, because we have multiple iterations of Forrest doing or playing Saw, but this one in particular was very, very potent, especially after he calls out the person for being a traitor, and he's like, they will think that we are there, but we are parsecs away. It's just like, this guy's awesome.
His delivery, it's so insane. That's one of the reasons why I want to cosplay him. Because I want to walk around a con talking.
Just that's the only way you talk. You just at a concession stand and like, I would like a bottle of water.
I want to hear that from Choco. Like, I say Choco goes
whoa.
in. Choco goes in as Saw, and he's like, lies, deception, and I come in as the stranger. I'm like, he's right, all lies. You didn't know it was me.
I just go into the movies and like popcorn with butter.
I'd like a popcorn combo, please. It's like butter, Rhydo. She's my sister, and I love her.
The butter is my sister.
We understand each other. But moving on to another highlight of the episode, or another arc, is this thing with Mon Mothma, Clea, Luthen, Skulldin, all of that stuff. First of all, in this arc, I love Clea. she doesn't hold back.
Awesome, Chris. Love you.
A dark sider would love to work with Saw. What was your? I mean, obviously there was a lot of tension in this arc, leading up to and the revelation of Krennic being there enjoying Skulldun's collection, but like,
And being a sassy bitch.
yeah, I mean, I just love Clea a lot more and more as like Luthen becomes unhinged with this cause that he's putting forth, and I think that's partially the reason that he's able to assign that mission at the end, right? Remember when you said in our reaction, you said, oh, so he got the message, because all of these things are unraveling, and then you have to get people in line. You have to start getting your ducks in a row before things fall apart. And he was so focused on the mistakes. And Clea's like, shut up. Like, she didn't really say that, but I was like, okay, fine. We need to get it back. We need to get it during the celebration. And like that scene, that build up, of course, intermingled with the GHORMAN front heist, was just so tense.
Yeah, we had the episode start with all the sounds, with all the radio signals, and then you hear at the beginning of that conversation about the piece that was a fraudulent, and it cuts, and I was like, wait, I want to hear more about that. And then of course she brings it back, and it's just like a weird reminder of all this extra stuff that goes into spycraft that you just don't ever think about. Is they have to have these bugs out in certain places, but they also have to keep themselves covered. And if it gets discovered, then you are in trouble. They might be able to trace it back to you. They might start to look more deeply into other things, and you'll be busted. And there's just a lot that has to go into it. So the fact that someone else sold them a fraudulent piece of art, and because of that, it was all going to get appraised, and that's what was going to cover them, was just, yeah, that was crazy. And poor Lonnie, you know what I mean? Like, he's like,
What?
he's a patriot, right? He's doing all the things, but he's like, oh, he's always at the wrong place at the wrong time.
I did love how well he pulled it off, though, and like, in spite of his very adamant apprehension to being there at all, was able to blend in and play that part so well too.
Oh, that was all Dom Clea. Like, he was ready, Lonnie was ready to kind of like give it all up, and then Clea just threw the hammer down.
Oh, sure, but like he still
but
stepped in and delivered the lines that she told him and stuff like that well, right? Like, I think that was what I was more excited about, was just that it was this scene, in contrast to the, I would say, failed heist on
It was definitely failed.
I mean, as far as what the Gorn people want, no, it wasn't. They got what they wanted, but
well, I mean, it was all
the
engineered
heist
by
was a
the
success.
Empire.
Both heists were successful. It just,
But and that's more of what I was getting at, is that they're technically both successful, but just the contrast of mood, right? And especially with the lines of like, we need to give them a win so they feel like they're in control.
Yeah.
Honestly, between these two and the ending scene with Bix and Cassian as well, this whole kind of 3-episode arc ending on like it's kind of like a win feeling, I feel like it's going to be very contrasted by the next 3 episodes. That's giving us our false victory feeling.
I do like Harith's point, where he says, I love how this heist just represents Luthen's paranoia. Like, we're starting to see his downfall. And that's the larger message at play with these 3 episodes. Luthen doesn't listen to Andor about the GHORMAN front. He's like, we need to activate them right now and do it. And he's like, but they're not ready. You know, they're rushing. And he's like, they'll burn brightly. And then that's, you know, in tandem with his paranoia about the listening device, and he's not on board with that. And then everything happens, and I feel like that all leads to him finally realizing he needs to listen to people that are a part of this cause too. He's not the only one at play, and that's what enables him to be like, okay, let's take care of Bix. Let's do this mission where she takes care of Gorst, and then she's, you know, in a good place mentally. And Andor, because she's in a good place mentally, Andor is back in action as well.
But
I kind of read it a little bit differently.
Outright though. When he says like I have too many things to keep track of, right? Like you can see that he's starting to unravel just because he's spread too thin. He's in 1,000 different places, all bugged, all with information, and it's like, what's connected to what means what. But
I also appreciate the switchboard using quarter-inch connector.
So I mean, I definitely read it differently. I actually read it as they were mirroring each other, because the ISB wanted to have a rebellion that they can count on to make the wrong choice. Yes. Right? That's exactly what Cassian was saying. It was like, these people aren't ready, they will make the wrong choice. So that's why they gave him a win, because they wanted to build up, to build them up so that next time they will do the thing, right? And now they have guns, they're going to come out, and we're going to see or hear about that soon. On the other side, you have Luthen, who's doing the exact same thing. He knew that Bix needed a win. That's after he went and visited her and saw what was going on. I think he wanted. I mean, yes, I do believe it was, you know, for Cassian as well, because he saw this distress in Cassian. But I think he visited Bix and then started planning that mission, and you know, I think that's the mission he wanted her on, but then said no. Then he's like, I changed my mind because she wasn't ready. But yeah, I think this is him wanting to give them a win in order to build her up, in order to make her continue the fight.
I think both things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, I just mean he's at no point not listening to or not trusting Clea or not, you know what I mean?
I mean, no, that's wrong, because he gets into a pretty heated argument with Clea. And with
because he didn't want that bug in that room, but ultimately it's there and they have to deal with it regardless.
I read, and I could be wrong, because and please correct me if I am wrong, but to me, I kind of saw the end scene with Cassian and Bix not as the mission that was to come, but what needed to happen that Cassian helped facilitate to get Bix into a better spot so they could go on a mission together. Because she said, there's another mission, I'm going on this one. Like, you can't stop me. So to me, like, it didn't seem like their revenge trip was a mission from Luthen, because it wouldn't have been like, we wouldn't have needed them to have Bix say, I'm going on this one. It just would have been a mission that we would have seen them go and do. But I think that because she said that, to me, I read it as this is Cassian helping her get this revenge to try and get her feeling quote unquote better to where she can join.
So there was no mission given to her. It was given to Cassian. And
correct.
The dialogue said the dialogue she says is I'm coming on this one, no matter what, and then Cassian accepts it.
But I wasn't sure that was the mission, because like to just go kill this guy, it doesn't seem like a Luthen thing to do, especially when he wasn't even going to tell Cassian that he'd met with her, right? So and because it didn't explicitly say that, hey, this is the mission, go kill this one, interrogator, I read that as Bix needs this, and Cassian's like, go do your thing. I'll be here. I'll take out the guards. I'll make sure you can get in and out. I'll hold the detonator in case something goes wrong, whatever the case might be. Like, we're getting this done because you need to figure whatever it is out so we can have you as a part of this.
Well, I mean, I suppose without an explicit order from Luthen, that could be a possibility as well.
I guess part of the reason why I felt that way too is because of their argument together. When she said, like, I can handle myself, I am more than what, like, you think I am. For me, it seemed like a Cassian's like, hey, you know what? You want to be a part of this stuff? You want to deal with this stuff? You want this feeling gone and done with to know that he can never come back? I'll help take care of it. And then whatever my next mission is, we can say, you know what? Hey, there's nothing else going on. You're free and clear to come with. That's how I read it. And that's why I thought, like, the next mission was going to be the next 3 episodes. But I don't know. Yeah,
Young does bring up a good point. Lonnie was also telling Luthen about Dr. Gorst's expansion program.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I suppose Luthen wanted it destroyed. I don't know if that's explicitly said, but it is a good reading. I mean, like, Lonnie is always, especially when they tell that one dude, it's like, you're in charge of this, and Lonnie's like, keep me updated on this. Don't screw it up. And we already know with the first visit in the first episode that Lonnie is still informing for Luthen. So, and Luthen's like, bring me something solid.
I read that so differently because for me it was like a relationship revenge tour of, like, you know what, you need this to heal, I'll be there for you. Like, I'll help take care of it. So I was like, at the end of it, I was like, hell yeah, let's go. I was just super excited for that. But, like,
I like,
for me, I read it as more as Cassian stepping up to be there for Bix than Luthen doing something for Bix.
Well, here's where I come down on it in terms of 2 things can be true at the same time. I think that Luthen wanted Gorst's program stopped, and so he assigned Cassian to destroy it. And with your read on the situation, Cassian let Bix come with him because she needed it to heal. And so, like, it was the mission, 100%. But Cassian also, with full agency, allowed the Bix to, not allowed, I mean, like, he's just basically is like, I'm not going to fight you on this. If you want to come with me on this one, then that's what you need. Let's do it.
That makes much more sense then.
Yeah. Me. And so,
especially with what Young's saying with the conversations, I honestly forgot that his name was Dr. Gorst, so I thought they were referencing somebody else completely.
Yeah, and so I was thinking exactly, with what you were saying, Young, that he meets with Lonnie to find out about this program. Right after that, he meets with Cassian, but Cassian's going on a mission, and he doesn't mention any of that to him. After Cassian leaves, he goes and visits Bix. Because he's like, I have a mission in mind for you, but I changed my mind. And then the next time they get a call, it's for Cassian for this mission. She's like, I'm going on no matter what. I feel like he did want her to do it, but she wasn't in the state. So yeah, it definitely could have. The timeline,
she was
the conversations match up.
Right, so that's when he changed his mind.
Yeah, that all fits.
All right, guys, we solved it.
I mean, honestly, as far as, like, my headcanon goes, that all makes sense. Yeah.
All right.
I like
that's my headcanon,
at the same time.
And this is exactly what I was saying earlier, was this is what I do when I watch stuff, right? If something doesn't inherently or immediately make sense, my brain immediately jumps to, how can I make this make sense and be enjoyable? Because I want to enjoy the thing. It's not a wild concept to just put in that effort to put these puzzle pieces together in a way that makes sense to you, even if it might be missing some things or whatever the case might be. And, you can always adjust it and make it still fit.
Absolutely.
Then we got the next storyline, which it would be our good friend Cyril. We follow him on the planet. I love how well they craft worlds, and they craft these cultures and their histories and the way that they think and do business, and every part of the design from the set all the way through is unique to that culture but consistent within it. It's fantastic.
It makes so much sense too. Like the world building is that of like the world we live in, but just planets, right? So Cassian goes there as a fashion designer, and GHORMAN is like, because of the spiders and their silk, like they're the premier in like fabrics and like and so it makes sense that Cassian's there as a fashion designer. He's like, I would love to see your fabrics. You know, it makes sense. But go on, Choco. I just wanted to say that.
No, yeah, and I also love the crisscross, because when that happens, while Cassian is walking on GHORMAN, Cyril is back on home. But yeah, just how we have a year jump, and he's talking with his mom, and just their conversation. His mom is still his mom, but Cyril still has a little bit of extra pep in his step. You know what I mean? Like he's not being beat up and defeated. So that's kind of how you know that he's actually lying. But yeah, I mean, there's just so he gets this promotion, and so he's able to make people think. His acting for these people, especially when they find the bug in his office and he's mad and he kicks the thing or whatever, it was just, I don't know, he's doing a great job, and I can't wait to see his turn. Again, I'm predicting it's a little Jedi toy, because that's what he wants. He wants the adventure. He wants to be the hero, and he thinks he's doing the good thing. And I don't think Dedra sees him as a person. And I think that's why their kiss with the light on was so awkward. But then she's like, turn off the lights. I think he's a tool for her.
Oh, 100%. That's how I read it all as well. And I especially with like her instructor, whose name I can't remember, being like, Cyril can't know what this is really about.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's somebody that's manipulatable because of his infatuation with her. And she is one of those cold and collected people that will see that and use it, right? But also at the same time, I think there might be, still part of her that actually does care, especially with the way that she talked to his mom and stuff like that, to try and get him to be more comfortable and not have that hovering problem around him. But
that could also
I hope so.
That could also
the other
be...
reading is two controlling people meet, and one has to become the alpha.
100%, yeah.
But we also look at like the way he treats him, and he, to his credit, he tries to turn it into some kind of like fetish thing. Like, so he comes in and he's like, how much time do we have? An hour. He's like, you don't think that they're watching this apartment? He's like, you have an hour. And he's like, I can't believe you had me followed. And like, he's trying to do this foreplay thing, and she's like, turn out the lights. Just like, no, she's not giving him anything. And I feel like he's truly bought into this fantasy where he's like, he got her, but she's not playing around. Everything that happens between them is strictly for the mission. And even then, when Padagaz like, lauds him and applauds him for doing his job correctly, he's like, would I sound stupid if I said this was the best thing that ever happened in my life? And she's like, I'm glad you're happy.
Yeah, he's just wagging his tail. He's a good boy, That's also the other interesting parallel is she has him followed, and he has no idea. He's not in control of anything at all. But they try to follow Cassian, and he's like, your people suck at following. They're just drawing more attention, not less. And he just calls her out. I don't know, Space France seems like a nice place.
And then we have the GHORMAN heist, and I elected to omit this part from my breakdown because it was a sad part. But you know, everything went according to the Empire's plan, and couple that with the fact that the people that they were working with were just kind of directionless. Again, it was kind of like the Maya Pay Brigade all over again. You know, there was no real leadership structure, because they were trying to rush. They were spurred to action because they were already found, right? They were listening in, and the ISP found the listening device, and they had to act. They weren't preemptively acting, right? This was a reactionary mission. I mean, of course, they've been planning the mission, but now the act of doing it is in reaction to them being caught on by the Empire. And so when you have things fall apart with Drina wandering off and that other kid with a blaster is not supposed to have, turning into the loss of Cinta.
Stupid Dreama. If she is where she's supposed to be, they leave on time, none of this happens. I feel like I just didn't bring a blaster. And it sucks. It sucks. But you know what? We got the first time that we've actually seen you know, their relationship and them not have to be like, oh, they're just cousins. No, they're just roommates or whatever. So I thought that was really cool. And
it was, and then it also felt bad that it's like, this is only here to make it hurt worse, huh?
Yeah.
As I was editing our reaction, I got to the part where you're like, I feel bad for saying it now. I was like, what does he mean? But then, like, I was like, oh, because earlier in the episode you were like, yeah, they're gonna die. I'm just like, shit.
I mean, come on, you knew. Mm-hmm. I felt like it was pretty foreshadowed of like.
Mm-hmm. I thought they both were going to, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it was actually a bit more painful that Cinta did, and it was like. After she just had an accident too, and has had kind of this like waking up moment. It's like, no, there was so much potential.
Anyone else get the joke where the spider people got squished by a ship, a boot to a bug, or am I just twisted? I think you're just twisted.
I mean, yeah, I thought about it.
What was more tragic about that is that Val had her own speech at the end too, towards that kid. You know, you're gonna live with this for the rest of your life. I
honestly that speech hit me like a sack of cinder blocks.
And it wasn't and what I loved about that, as I painfully say I love about that speech, is that it's delivered with such disdain, right? You would think that she's kind of riddled with tragedy and sorrow with losing Cinta, and not to say that she isn't, but in that very moment she's also overcome with anger. And you know, this is all stuff that they had discussed. You know, people are going to die tonight if you do not listen to every word we say and follow our every single order. And that's what happened.
For me,
I would have grabbed the blaster and shot him in the foot so he has a souvenir. But go ahead.
For me, it really seemed like
Vel was
control.
dripping venom. Yeah.
It like obviously, yeah, she was very angry and dripping venom, but for me, it was she was feeling everything. You know, all of the potent emotions with grief. But she was still very controlled. Because, like Brandon said, I would have just shot him and be like, nope, we're done. Like,
Yes, Lydia's
I'm out-
Castle. There
I'm
will be
out ski.
spoilers in this conversation.
I mean, we're knee deep.
Oh yeah, and so for me, because she didn't, that showed an immense amount of restraint, and the fact that she could also use this as a teaching moment to be like, you're going to be living with this for the rest of your life, right? That, and the fact that she could also reflect on Cinta and everything wonderful that she was, for me, was just an insane amount of emotional control right there. That I was like, no, this is, yes, there's venom in it, yes, like she actively has tears in her eyes, but this is somebody who knows what they're feeling and is in control of the processing of that emotion.
Yeah.
And Cinta, I always talk about how hot she is, but that was badass when she like cartwheels over the the cart thing and puts the thing on it to stop him. Like she was an elite agent, and it's definitely a sad loss. And it's interesting because Cassian straight up was like, yeah, these people are not ready, and he was right, but he doesn't realize that that's exactly why Luthen wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's apparent when he says, "What happens if it all goes up in flames?" Like, well, they'll burn. They'll burn brightly. It's like,
That's what he wants.
Like Luthen is a calculated accelerant, and SAW is the accelerant that's right next to the sparks. It can go up in any moment.
Oh, I mean, he's the fuel tank.
Yeah.
You have accelerant, you have fuel, you have an igniter. They're all three components of a glorious fire.
If you like Cinta, you should watch Doctor Who. Yeah, we did find out that Cinta is the new companion for Shane's Doctor.
I'm the one who mentioned it.
Not to be like the ultimate architect of emotions, but I did put on a tragedy playlist when talking about Cinta. But all of this combined, makes for S-tier writing in Star Wars. We have so many examples. Like, most of the time when we're watching episode by episode, and some tension is building up, it is one thing happening, and we're witnessing its build up to the payoff. But the way the 3 episodes are written and paced is that we are witnessing the crescendo of all 3 tense moments happening at the same time. And that's why at the very end, when everything went down, there was this cathartic moment during our reaction. I'm pretty sure everyone watching the episodes, that moment of catharsis where everything just all of the Jenga pieces fell and we came out on the other side and we're like, oh boy, that was a lot to hold on to. That was a long period of butthole puckery. And Andor is just doing such a fantastic job in giving us these moments every 3 episodes. We have 6 episodes. We have two of these arcs, and they've delivered on multiple fronts.
Well, shout out to Sticks in my chat. Haven't seen you in years. Haven't seen you either. Sorry. But hello. And also, I want to shout out to Jay Stoobs. She touched on something that I kind of noticed, but not nearly to this extent. That this show has given us Star Wars best written women, bar none. And it hasn't even been close. But she points out the contrast with some of the others where it's like really idealized. You look at the struggles of the women in this show, and it's written for women, right? It's written as women. Like Bix has to go through something that only women truly experience. Not that it can't happen to a man. I'm not saying that, but
Not all men.
you know what I mean. Like that's a really female centered thing that she has to overcome and get past, and that she did. We have Mon Mothma, who is a mother, and she's stuck in this arranged marriage that is a prison to her, and she has to deliver her daughter into this same thing that she is trapped into, and that she organized for the sake of the galaxy, right? That's a very female-centered struggle that's included in this. We can look at Dedra. Like season 1 did establish that because she's a woman, they do look at her differently. She is trying to girl boss her way to the top of this organization. That's definitely that struggle. But it also doesn't make any apologies for her for being a terrible person and doing evil stuff. And so that's one thing that's a lot of things do is when they have women characters, they sand off the women centric pieces. You know what I mean? Sometimes they just write a man character and put a woman in there or whatever, but this show hasn't done that, and that's just a testament to its writing.
Yeah, and I also kind of wanted to, credit where credit is due. I don't find myself agreeing with Snarky J ever. But when Theory expressed his takes on SA, Snarky J hit him hard. And, she was talking about you can't minimize this situation to whether someone condones it. You can't minimize it to just something space buffoonery. When you name it what it is and you say the name, and our guest last week, Meeks, also said the same thing. When you give it the name that it is, it forces you to come to terms with that very thing. You can't minimize it to being like, just like how Star Wars minimizes music to jizz, or like it gives a space name to something that is very serious. No, he did try to rape her, and so when Bix names it, gave that scene so much power.
I also think that it's been something that unfortunately is tiptoed around too much, to the point where there should never be gray area, right? And I feel like that's kind of the whole point with it, having it explicitly named and stated, and having it be something that is also tied to an Imperial officer, exploiting power, however you want to phrase it there. But as a younger person could be watching this and kind of taking in life lessons, this is something that needs to be plastered with the Empire, that is very transparently the bad guys of Star Wars, right? It's something that just needs to be explicitly stated and tied and just spelled out for younger people, so that way they know that this whole thing, this isn't a ha-ha college boys will be boys kind of no, this is a bad thing that bad people do. We need to say what it is. We need to specifically outline it. We need to stop tiptoeing around it, and also treat it as something as severe as it is.
I had an interesting interaction in my comments where someone, one of my mutuals, talked about watching this with their family, and all the women in the room clocked that dude instantly. Yeah. Because he doesn't try it the first time. The first time he's just talking to her, and they said all the guys in the room were like, well, no, he's just overly familiar. He's just he's just kind of this and that. And then then that guy interacts with the daughter of the people there. It was the same thing. The mom pulls that daughter in the house real quick. And it wasn't until he actually tries it that they're like, oh, so this is what you were seeing, you know? And it's, I think that's an interesting thing as well, because, you know, that's what, like, they clocked it instantly. I saw it and I was like, that guy, ooh,
He's
no.
a creep.
Stranger danger.
That's a
But I
stranger
didn't
danger
think he was
boy.
going to do that. And hopefully people who watch the show get that message of like, you know, when you
And I
see
think
it, call it out. When other people say they feel uncomfortable with this or with that person, understand it.
Well, and it's also from my perspective too, just to see it as something that's like it's explicitly called out. It's tied to the Empire, who are the bad people, and it doesn't have a happy ending. This isn't a ha, you know, slap on the wrist kind of a thing. This is immensely immoral and wrong, right? And I honestly, I was surprised to see them blatantly name it, but I was also very happy that they also didn't tiptoe around it and blatantly called it what it was.
Yeah. And
No.
it also, you know, this is exactly why there was pushback to begin with Chet. It was not, I mean, there's many people who've expressed being against it being depicted on Star Wars, and those are they're all valid reasons to be against it. But it's like Choco says, when you wake up in the morning and you realize you ideologically line up with the bad guys, you have to cope with it somehow. And how do you cope? You say things like the Empire wouldn't do that.
So I think I recall seeing somewhere somebody talking about Star Wars theory or something like that, saying, oh, well, the Empire wouldn't hire somebody that's like a sexual predator or whatever the case might be. But it's like, it's also not something that people go around and advertise, right?
No,
like,
not in his resume.
It's the fact that it can be anyone that is the reality for so many people to live with in fear, right? And it is something that needs to be called out.
Yeah, it is
As
why
something.
it is
This is
why so many
also-
people choose the bear. Like you can't argue against that. You have to listen and understand that. You know, I mean, go ahead.
So there was
Wait,
this
hold
is
on.
also something that
Spooky
you-
says.
that
Spooky says we're just gonna glide past butthole puckery. I mean, I thought that was the general term we use for tension. I mean, that's the thing that I use.
That's what I use.
I mean, it was like a circus. I mean, it was intense. But there is a
Get out.
No, there's something just really interesting, because this is, you know, a fascist regime, and we cannot gloss over that. You know, we can't let people try to paint it with a funny light. You know, I think we need to make fascism feared again. We need to make fun of how stupid they are again. But like a big part of it, a part of the early warning signs, and this is like on the wall of the U.S. Holocaust Museum, that these are the early warning signs, and rampant sexism is one of them. All of these things kind of go together, right? It's rampant sexism. This is the corruption. This is the labor power suppressed. This goes hand in hand with all of those things. We can't pretend like they don't happen, or they wouldn't allow it to happen, when this is literally a big part of a fascist regime. They don't care if that happens, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and like the most blunt way as well that we can put it is Vader's not there, so it doesn't really matter. It's like I saw a video earlier, and it was largely a satire of all of the fuckery that happened with Theory. They remade the scene, but not like showing the actual thing. But they were like, all of a sudden Vader was there. It was like, stop it, like, this can't happen. And then like at the end of it, satirically, they're like, but you're still undocumented, so we'll kill you. So it's just like, well, that's just dumb.
Yeah, when you're dealing with a large group of people that don't see people as people, like exactly, they're not going to stop it because they don't see the people that are victims of this as people.
Yeah.
They see them as assets, resources, a problem, whatever the case might be.
I mean, as we know, this is, not a political show, but I honestly feel like not talking about these things is how people were okay with a president that's a rapist.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's when
I mean, that's not
stuff
even a
isn't treated
political
with that
stance. It's
severity.
something he was
Yeah.
convicted of.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's
And
not-
people still can't. And again, to your point, people still look past that and elect them as president.
Because they can to look past. And you're like, no, we don't want people to be able to look past this. Look at it. Look at it. This is the name. Look at it. This is the reality of it. You know what I mean? Like, Bill Cosby was America's dad. I don't watch Bill Cosby anymore. I don't revisit old specials. I can't now. He's a rapist. Like.
I also saw a video of someone being interviewed, and they were like, "So you're okay with a convicted felon in the White House?" And they said, "Who's a convicted felon?" And then they said, "President Trump. He's been convicted 34 times." And then he's like, "Name all of them." And she's like, 34 counts of falsifying business records and stuff. And he's just like, "I don't believe you." And it's just. He met you at every single juncture. he met you at every single juncture. You're okay with a convicted felon in the White House? Who? Trump. Name all of the convictions. Boom. Never mind. It's just like the way.
Yeah, we're done here then. There's no conversing with you at this point because you don't want to listen.
Yeah.
You don't want to potentially need to change your perspective or solution.
And for anyone who's curious about it, the early warning signs of fascism are powerful and continuing nationalism, disdain for human rights, identifying enemies as a unifying cause, rampant sexism, controlled mass media, obsession with national security, religion and government intertwined, corporate power protected, labor power suppressed, disdain for intellectual and the arts, obsession with crime and punishment, rampant cronyism and corruption. Those are the 12 early signs.
I don't like
Of
how I have
fascism.
12 recent examples in my mind from the US right now.
I mean, it's rampant.
And again, this isn't
are we the
me. I'm not
baddies?
telling you. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying this is what's on the wall at the U.S. Holocaust Museum.
Well, let's shift gears here really quickly and go into lore. I'm gonna use this segment to kind of.
Sorry, had to.
You do have to.
I
Thank you for
definitely
sharing.
don't want to gloss over, this very serious subject, but, the show must go on. So I want to use this lore section to kind of introduce a new segment, a new fun little segment that I want to call DYAD libs. And so I'm going to ask the chat, I'm going to ask Choco and Cal to provide me with things, and then I will, fill them in, and then we'll tell a short story.
Oh, goodness.
So the first thing I need, you know what? Okay, I'll let you guys be the judges. So I'll ask the chat for. Let's see. Let me get this. Where did my?
Just do it one at a time and specify who you want to provide the answer.
Well, I'll just let you guys decide who, which answer the chat gives should be the one that goes in. Okay. If they're down to participate. So what I need is a noun. Any noun from the chat, or if you guys have any suggestions. I know we're gonna deal with the delay a lot.
Yeah, there's bound to be
Alligator, but doesn't have to be. Shouldn't it be Star Wars themed?
It should be.
All right, so yeah, let's go with Daxton's here. Rhydo.
Okay. I need a noun, a large number.
A noun and a large number, or a large number of a noun?
Like thousands or hundreds or several, you know, like a.
Oh, so you just need it. Okay.
A countable noun, basically, for simpler.
Jaybird says several. One.
You guys want to go with one?
I say several, but
I was gonna make something up, but never mind. Because it's kind of like a Sith Lord's dozen, which is like, I don't know, 14.
wouldn't it be 13? Like Friday the 13th, evil number? But
That
isn't that
works.
also
Yeah,
already
that's
a
what
baker's
baker's
dozen?
A baker's dozen is 13.
So we're going with several.
That is right, Dachshund. It is all of them.
I need another noun.
Lightsaber.
Adjective. Are we going with lightsaber or iguajas?
I don't know what an iguajas is.
Should suggestively.
Huh?
It's the
I think
adjective.
that was the adjective that for them. Hopeful. I like hopeful.
I need a. Okay, so an
That's very Star
adjective that's
Wars.
not an adverb at the same time.
Then do hopeful.
It's also very Star Warsy.
Adjective, color.
Bluish.
Fuchsia.
No one said 69. I'm proud of this community.
Well,
It's just the beginning.
now they have. Now we're primed.
Nice.
Daxton says saged. I think saged though doesn't mean it doesn't suggest color. Sage just is like
I mean, sage is a
Wizened.
color, but no.
sage is a color, yes, but saged as in like a word.
That's what I like to bluish. Because it's ish. It's bluish.
So what are we going with? Bluish fuchsia?
Bluish beige.
No, fuchsia is the color. Oh, so this was a color and not the one in. Okay.
The color being an adjective, like a descriptive color. That's what I needed. So bluish?
Yes, bluish.
Yeah.
If Shakespeare can make stuff up, so can we.
Okay.
Yeah, why does he
Exactly.
get to do that?
Regular adjective?
fast.
Verb ending ing.
LARPing.
Let's give the chat just some time.
Just interesting choice. Chat, what do you got? Throttling? Oh no.
You can choose from
Leaping.
those. You said leaping?
I just read them both. I don't have a decision.
Yeah,
I'm not a very good
throttling,
judge.
it works.
I say yes to everything.
Throttling. Okay.
It's too close to throbbing.
Adjective.
Moist.
No.
Are we going at that? I'm just...
No, let's wait for chat.
Chat.
No, let's wait for chat.
Chat too moist.
Crisp. Chat too moist.
We got crisp. We got chilling.
No, Duxon, no. Don't fall to the dark side.
Supple.
Although I know you are already there.
All right, what do we got? We got crisp, chilling, moist, supple.
Supple, no. Too supple. You were molded by it.
Verb ending in S.
Plays. Fights. Do fights instead. Drinks. Ooh.
Ing verb.
What about an IGN?
Are we going with fights or are we going with drinks, runs, rains?
Or eats.
Brandon chooses.
Okay, we'll go with eats. Pressing, jolting, emerging, chuckling, chucking.
I read that as something different. Curse you, dyslexia.
I read it as shucking first.
I wish that mine was the same.
All right, what out of those, what do we want?
Emerging.
Noun.
No, Pep knows the whole story, and he's like, nope, don't like that.
Noun.
A noun. This like dramatic, sad music building up. I'm like, what horror story will they be creating?
Bruce says both cat.
Yeah, there we go.
Another noun.
Spooky Kitty, we need to do Star Wars nouns. So like Space Llama.
A Loth Llama.
Eopie. Leia as a noun? I mean, that's a proper noun, but you
Yeah.
can always go with it.
Person. I would be terrified at what's gonna happen to Leia. If
I was
we
like,
throw them in
I don't
Astoria.
want. Let's not drag Leia in.
About subtle emerging.
TIE fighter then?
Yeah, TIE Fighter, that works.
Adjective?
If someone puts moist again, I'm gonna be real upset. Devilish, ooh.
We'll go with that one. Or sweet. Enthusiastically. Which one? We'll go with enthusiastic without the Klee. Devilish, sweet, enthusiastic. Which one?
Enthusiastic.
I feel like I've been picking too many answers.
Proper noun, place. We got a lot of them in Star Wars.
Alderaan.
Rings of Kafrine.
Ray is not a place.
It's a place I'd like to be. Sure.
I mean, that was literally what was immediately in my head as I was saying that. So
Natalie Portman, my bad.
somebody had to say it.
No, it's proper noun, place, not a proper noun and a place.
Like Alderaan or Onderon or Dagobah.
All right, which one are we going with those? Dagobah, Onderon, bedroom.
Bedroom. No, do Onderon.
Verb ending in S. Come on.
Spars.
I mean,
I was like,
I'm throwing some in though. I have to, like, this is the stuff that I wind up doing a lot, especially with like D&D things where it's like I need like 10 different city names, and so it's like you just start coming up with stuff, so my brain just is always overflowing with ideas. Ooh, rivals.
Sweeps, laughs.
Laughs.
Noun.
Bucket.
Broom. Space broom. Just like, make it Star Wars. Space llama.
Space llama.
We'll go with
Pretty
that
sure.
just because.
Why not? At this point.
Another noun.
Helmet.
Tauntaun.
Jaybird says helmet.
Helmet. Verb ending in ing. Oh, we got vocals now.
No.
Destroying.
Swinging.
Okay, we'll go with that. Verb and adjective. One after the other.
Drinking milk. No, wait, was it verb then noun?
Adjective.
Oh, adjective. Wait, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's
Drinking green. Milk.
that's why where my brain was. It was like I was like I can't.
That's immediately what I thought of was the Luke scene when you said verb adjective, and I was like, drinking milk. But I was
Guys,
like, no,
stop
adjective.
using adverbs.
Falling down. Falling up.
I'm saying drinking green. That's what I'm sticking to. Drinks green.
Okay. We'll do
Riding dirty.
Rides dirty.
that. Okay, we'll do that.
Oh no. I mean, to be fair, drinks green, not any better.
Okay. This DYAD lib is Master Jedi Yoda.
Oh no. Poor Yoda.
A new hand touches the beacon.
Yoda is a Jedi Rhydo. who trained Jedi for several years about how to use the lightsaber. He is known for his hopeful size, bluish skin, and fast way of throttling words. In the movie Star Wars A Supple Hope, Luke Skywalker eats Yoda after emerging his Lothcat into a TIE fighter on an enthusiastic planet called Onderon. Yoda laughs Luke to become a Jedi space llama. Yoda remains a helmet to Luke, swinging him to use the Force to ride Dirty Vader and the Empire.
He wore his head as a helmet. Oh, it was horrible. I was right to say poor Yoda.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Star Wars A Supple Hope is my favorite.
That's gotta be a...
I'm latching on to Yoda
I'm sure it
remains a
exists.
helmet to Luke, swinging him to use the Force to ride Dirty Vader and the Empire.
Dirty Vader. I mean, we did just write a porno.
I was
Star Wars: A Supple Hope featuring Dirty Vader.
I was surprised that I was surprised the lightsaber fit.
So bad.
Also, what does hopeful size mean?
This is very delightfully small.
He's known for his
everything's
hopeful
good in the world
size.
because he's so tiny.
His fast way of throttling words.
It's
Oh,
funny
God.
when you said hopeful size. I heard it as SIGHS, like, but hopeful.
Oh.
Putting a low cat to a TIE fighter.
His
is
hopeful size?
Yeah.
Excuse me, another innuendo right there? Come on.
Luke Skywalker eats Yoda after emerging his Lothcat into a TIE fighter.
The merging Lothcat into a TIE fighter is also definitely an innuendo. Duxon's right.
Damn. Well, I hope that quick and witty
Quick.
segment was entertaining. I hope next week we'll have another story to tell. With a much faster way of, I suppose, trying to collect words. I don't know how we'll do it. But I just wanted to have fun with. It's been a long time since I did ad-libs. And DYAD-libs just fit.
You should create a Google Doc form and post it to Blue Sky or your TikTok to have people fill out, and then you'll do
read
spins
it
live
back,
for the
yeah.
answers.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. Thanks, Cal.
It gives you time anyway, so that way you can just kind of piece it together quickly and be like, viewer submitted Star Wars Mad Lib.
All right, we're officially on the bonus section. Is there anything that you guys want to talk about? Anything at all? Chat? Anything?
I will start hopefully soon. It hasn't been quite approved yet. But I might try to sell a product on TikTok. I requested a free sample. I was scrolling as one does, and I stumbled upon a perfume called Choco Musk.
Jesus.
I requested a sample real quick. So yeah, when it comes, I will do a review of Choco Musk.
Oh my goodness.
I just hate the word musk when it comes to fragrance.
Listen, I'm excited for it.
It was already bad, and now it's just even worse.
Musk of
You know?
Well, that's awesome for a bonus.
That is really funny.
Actually, that being said, I also might. It's just a random thing that I thought about. I might also start making hot sauce content. Because I love hot sauce, and I have so many hot sauces.
You have a crazy spice tolerance, too.
So, yeah.
The dude who will eat the 2X spicy bulldog ramen dry in a bag.
Hey, listen, I saw it on a TV show. It looked good, and it was good.
But when we did the spicy noodle challenge, didn't that affect you a little bit?
Oh,
It affected me, but if you recall, I used 2 of them.
Oh. So I
It's
mean,
double
this was actually kind of suggested by Connor a long time ago, doing the DYAD hot ones. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I just have a lot of hot sauce and stuff, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do hot sauce reviews, you know, because
I'd watch
I
it.
like it, you know.
I would watch it, and then I would be influenced. Sponsor this man.
Spooky says, plot twist. It smells like a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament.
No, but in all sincerity, like, that is how I wind up trying a lot of new stuff, is friends of mine that, you know, like hot sauce, right? So, oh, cool. What's a good one I could get, right? Or watching videos to get ideas and stuff like that. I think I have genuinely 2 different bottles of hot sauce that are in my fridge right now that were recommended to me.
Yeah, I mean, I just ordered a pack from a company off of TikTok that I just kept seeing. I was like, you know what, I just want more. So yeah. Hot ones while doing a comic reading stream.
Yeah, I was reading that one, and I was going to say, I suppose I'm going to continue my lore about series. I did about like 3 chapters of Revan, and then I stopped. So I think what I'm going to do this time is just do all of the chapters and then record it in a batch, because like I can't I'm so bad at following through with something that I start, so I might as well just do the whole thing
and then piece it out,
because I want people to know about Revan. I mean I want, like, it's still a sore subject of mine where people were like, oh, use him as like a gatekeeping tool, but and they themselves don't know who Revan is, and the entire purpose of me doing that, let's read the Revan book and know who this character is, so that to make sure that everyone did know, everyone that watched the videos did know and knew more than the gatekeepers, right? So you'd have somebody like, if you don't know who Revan is, you're not a Star Wars fan. So, well, actually, you know, I know quite a lot about Revan, having read his book and having played the game. So,
Marie Antoinette, I know a thing or two about it.
Let's see here. Scared for the High Republic to be over. I need a red-skinned Sith in live action ASAP. I mean, I feel like you just wanted to say Talon.
But I think he means like the
Sithari?
Yeah.
Scourge?
The quote-unquote Sith pureblood race or whatever.
Duxon, when it comes to red-skinned Sith, though, what would you rather have? Scourge or Talon?
Scourge.
I'm appealing to his more primal instincts.
Scourge.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he is more Sith than he is thirsty.
He makes his own mead. He's never thirsty.
He's this Sithsty. Jeez. Never mind. I suck.
I've wanted to make my own mead. I just have been too lazy. Which is funny because all it is you just mix stuff up in a jug and then let it sit for a while.
Jalapeno hot sauce is my favorite.
It's just honey and yeast.
I tried a ghost pepper sauce the other day, and it's not that bad.
It's weird. I find fresh peppers to not be as hot as like pickled versions of those peppers.
Well, they definitely would,
because like
if they're pickled.
Because like I've had just fresh off the vine jalapenos, and then I've also had pickled jalapenos that like make me cry.
I'm sure there's some science around like the, what is it called? The capsaicin.
Yeah.
And like
there's I don't know. There's because I think we've all had that situation where like there's one jalapeno that just came from hell or whatever. Like it's yeah,
For
like
whatever
they're
reason, it was
all
more
they're all
angry than
fine,
the
and
others.
then yeah, like
Yeah. No, but I
You
did
watch the
I did
videos where
have
they're like, this is the Scorpion Death Reaper pepper, and it's like just black, and I'm like, where the hell did you get that? Like, do things grow out of the ground looking like that?
no,
it just
so
absorbs light and
and happiness
and lets off
joy
waves of menace.
and comfort. No, but I because like I've had a pickled habanero before, and when I bit into it, it also didn't help that the juices from inside of it, like all super spicy, just right to the back of the throat and out my nose. Oh,
Wow.
I was pain. Now I hiccup whenever I eat anything spicy, even if it's not like spicy. It sucks. Thanks, body.
Let's see. Also for bonus, and I feel like I have said this every year for the past 3 years, but this may be the greatest year for gaming.
Which sucks because I can't game through it all in
That no one
in the
can,
time
even people
allowed.
that have the time.
Let's see. Not to
Oblivion.
interrupt Choco. I don't have time to. I mean, I'm still in Act 2 of Shadows. I don't have time to play Oblivion Remaster, which is my favorite of all of the Elder Scrolls. I don't have time to play Claris Obscura. I don't have time to play South by Midnight. I don't have time to play. I don't even have time to finish Split Fiction with Choco. I don't have time to play Rivals anymore. I don't even have time to play Apex Legends.
Yeah, and we're also, I mean, we're getting Doom, the Dark Ages. We're getting Borderlands 4. We're getting
Overwatch Stadium is actually a lot of fun.
I'll have
It's
to
your-
I'll have
it's-
to give it a shot.
It's made for you, Brandon.
Okay.
It's
Is this
build
why people
craft,
just
but
play-
Overwatch.
Is this why people just stick to Fortnite?
Honestly, like not just Fortnite, but it's why a lot of people just stick to one game.
Yeah, and I'm not
Honestly, 'cause
saying
it's like,
I'm not saying it's a bad thing to play Fortnite. I mean, there are some people that just only play Fortnite. You know.
to be fair, there's a lot there between like their music stuff, the racing stuff, the Lego.
I mean, my nephews
The
play
custom
nothing
games that
else
people
but
make.
Roblox.
I've played Phasmophobia in Fortnite.
How? I mean, just
The
like
Yeah, I
custom-
remember that.
They literally have Unreal Engine tied to it, to where you could make a video game within Fortnite.
Yeah.
There is the UE editor tools for Fortnite that you can just use all Fortnite assets and make a video game.
Crimson Desert's coming out this year.
Star Citizen's fun. Shout out to Forward Into the Black.
it's all out there, man.
Big update coming soon.
Which is why I can't wait for
Fable, new Fable games coming out this year.
Oh my god, I love Fable.
I can't wait for the technology to come out where
Pause time.
not even where I could just summon multiple instances of myself, play every single
Shadow
game
Clone
separately,
Jutsu.
and then summon them all back. You like shadow clones, and summon them all back, and just one day go, whoa, those were all great games.
You just have that moment of like, oh, that's a lot of good content. Just all
Or
at the
if
same
like
time.
we're like live on DYAD, and it's
Ghost
like,
of
hey, you
Yote's
guys,
coming out.
it's like you guys,
one?
you guys play that new game? And wait,
Ghost
hold
of
on 1
Yote?
second. Oh, I just played it. Dang, woo, that was great.
Ghosts of what? Sorry.
Ghost of Yote, the Ghost of Tsushima.
When does that come
I
out?
never played the first one, and I need to. But it's only on PlayStation.
It comes out in
right?
October, but it's gonna come
No,
out
it's
on
on
PlayStation. So you'll
Is
have
it?
to-
Yeah, I played it. Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh.
No, you played Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, I'm talking about
didn't
the
know.
new one.
No, I was
the
talking
new
to
one
Cal
also
because Cal was
PlayStation?
saying it was only on PlayStation. Tsushima.
I thought it was a PlayStation exclusive.
exclusive.
So it was an exclusive for the first like 5 years. Or when did it come out? 2019.
Yeah.
And then it came to PC 2 years ago.
It came out after 2019. Doesn't it? Because I thought I
It was
remember hearing
2020.
people. thought I heard people talking about it when I was working at the golf course, which was in 2019, and they were talking about it like existing soon. GTA got pushed back, unsurprising. But honestly, thank God. If GTA 6 dropped like next month, I would be ruined.
Yeah, Ghost came out in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, but
Switch 2 is coming out, and I want that really bad.
More and more PlayStation exclusives are coming out on PC sooner and sooner.
Good. Now, fully recode Bloodborne and release that for PC, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so it came out on PC on in 2024, so last May, like a year ago.
Okay.
May 16th. So who knows? Maybe they'll do it faster than 4 years this time around. But
is it confirmed though that it is launching only on PlayStation first?
Well, the last article I read on GameDeveloper.com was that Sony was accelerating efforts to release their exclusives day and date with PC because of how much investment they have in the PC market now. They're starting to deliver titles with full DualSense support on PC. Their branding and their packaging on PlayStation accessories are front and center, works for PC as well now.
Smart.
And so I think I mean if I were to speculate, I would speculate that most of their first party exclusives would have a time exclusivity somewhere. But in terms of like third-party exclusives, I think they're definitely for sure aiming to, do the same thing Xbox does, just cash in on the PC crap.
I mean, I certainly hope they do. Last I heard is that window is shortening because like Ghost of Tsushima was among the first collection of the ones that got ported over to PC. It was like Ghost and Horizon Zero Dawn and stuff like that. But from what I last heard, it's like a 2-year window now. Comes out and it's exclusive for 2 years, and then PC gets it. Hopefully,
Dixon says
they shorten that. If I was them, I would 6 months. Give me 6 months, 8 months tops.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't have a PS5, but I have a DualSense. So, give me
Come
all
out
the
with
games.
an option to flip-flop the joysticks.
You know what?
Or
I
the
spoke to the
joystick with the
CEO.
D-pad.
They said we'll look into it.
Oh,
honestly,
great, thanks.
I mean, honestly, I as someone who grew up on DualShock, there's you can only make more money by making a controller that anybody can use by virtue of customization. Like I feel like they should also make it where you can customize the switches in there too.
Yeah, my biggest thing is like I have like fairly large hands, and so like when trying to use a PlayStation controller, I also have bad hitchhiker thumbs. So for me, when I'm using a controller, my thumbs will naturally like run into one another based on where like I'm usually holding the joystick. So
You said Sony
I do
is
love
trying
that
to
their
finally be good.
DualSense controller though does automatically just run on Bluetooth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the first party Xbox controller needs a dongle to connect to still.
Oh,
That's the one I have. And there's one that doesn't, but it's like $125. It's like their heavy duty one, but yeah. I do love me some DualSense.
You said Sony is trying to finally be good. Xbox for life. Listen, I'm sick and tired of the console wars. So much so, in fact, that I don't have any console. But listen,
hey, what up, Nemo?
listen, Sony has been really great with their exclusives.
Recently, yeah.
So I don't know what you're talking about. Finally be good. We're about to have.
I don't know, for me, like- for me with PlayStation, I was very much because like I had a PlayStation 1. I've owned a 3 and 4, but they just collected dust, unfortunately. Because like they're good for some like good single player games, but for me, a lot of gaming for me is a like how I can socialize as an introvert in a lot of ways. It's like if I'm done, I'm done. I turn it off and I walk away from it. And I have an off switch to my socialization, which is nice. So for me, like Xbox Live and a lot of kind of the more multiplayer party style games have always been what I enjoy a lot. And for me, that was just always better on Xbox. But it's the best on PC. So that's where I sit now.
Jackson, I'm gonna get a job at Microsoft and just ban your Xbox account.
I've already done it. I'm kidding.
Sorry I'm late. Twitch is whack. How art thou? We're just about ready to end. So I don't know if you're late or you just missed this completely.
Early for next week. Let's go.
My dad works at Xbox. Well, hey, call in a favor. We need someone called Dex and Download to be taken care of.
Yeah, I'm actually Cal Spencer. Phil Spencer is my dad.
The OS3 store is rough, though. You still can't buy games on it without buying gift cards. OS3?
PS3, I think.
Oh. PS3?
The fact that there is still an online store for the PS3, impressive. 360s has been shut down for a long time.
Oh, this is a joke from 2008. My dad works at Xbox. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, it's my
Like
dad
you
works at
use that
Nintendo.
name? Yeah, you do. I guarantee you do.
Yeah, for sure you do. You've used that name. You've been using that name since I'm gonna say it 2012. No, let's say you didn't read the book right when it came out. You've been using that since 2015. You gonna tell me I'm wrong?
Anyways, it is what it is. I just like games. If it comes out on Xbox, I have it on PC. If it comes out on PlayStation, I'll have it on PC soon. So, it doesn't really matter at this point. By the way, I heard y'all chatting it up with my buddies the other day. Low-key jealous. Hey, Nemo! Shout out to Nemo for connecting us with Rebel Scum Con. I say that with lots of care. But yeah, that video will be coming out in the next couple of days. But well, I mean, I think that's it for this episode of DYAD and the Force, episode 217. We had an awesome and lengthy discussion over Andor's episode 4, 5, and 6. Thank you to Cal for providing his much needed and much thorough insights on the episodes, and thank you to chat for hanging out. Let me check the calendar really quickly.
Yeah, so thank you, chat, for hanging out. Thank you, Chet, for moving on.
Next week we'll be joined by the organizers of Get Free and the Project Fulcrum, which we've been partnering on. Which we've been partnering with to talk about the Nemec's manifesto and talking about fascism, the signs of fascism, how to fight back and stuff like that. So definitely join us next week for that. I'm going to see Thunderbolts here shortly, so I can't wait. I've been hearing some good things about it. I've been avoiding all of the lengthy reviews, but the overall initial reactions seem positive, so I'm excited to go in there and see what everybody's talking about.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna watch it tomorrow morning because it's kind of late.
Yeah, get that 25% off.
That's my plan. No, tomorrow evening. Yeah, sorry, my My wife holds that schedule.
Nice.
I'm busy working Ren Fairs. 'Tis the season again for Ren Fairs. Right on.
Oh, hell yeah.
I guess Spooky did it for us. So on to the next one for Light and Life. We are all neurodivergent. Choco, you get to finish us off with your "We Are."
Just like Dirty Vader. Put
And
that
may the
left cap in
tism-
TIE Fighter.
May the tism be with us all.
Also, yeah, remain helmets, guys.
No.
Stay supple.
Oh.